Well, welcome everybody to this session, the Qur'an study group session. Today is April 14th, 2024, and I'm hoping that all is well, everybody's well, and that you're all getting closer to achieving your goals and your aims in life that you put before you, that you succeed in those. I don't have much to announce as before we get started. I was just told today that maybe in a couple of weeks we can make a decision on the date for the Tawheed conference, which inshallah right now we're looking at the end of July, sometime at the end of July, but it could change. But so far that's what we're looking for. Today the talk that I'm going to give today. You saw the title. I call it a B title. Uh, a call waiting. It's like for the old school people who we used to listen to the little 45 records, and they have an A side and a B side. So the A side was the hit song, and the B side was just a filler, a song that came in. Sometimes the B side got to be more popular than the A side, but there's an A and a B side. So the B side is a call waiting. I'll tell you the A side in a few minutes. And this lecture today is basically for the individual, the individual anywhere in the world, any individual. It's not, I'm not targeting any group or special purpose other than just to make the individual aware of his day-to-day routine, responsibility, accountability, and the idea that he could leave this planet anytime and the next moment be standing before his creator for the judgment. So I'm going to deal with that. There's going to be a question and answer period after that regarding anything that I said. I'm not answering questions that have nothing to do with my topic. It's only the questions that deal with my topic that I'll deal with. So right away, I see Brother Nafis. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Good to have you on board. And Brother Talib, I see you on board. We're not looking for a big array of folks coming on because we're filming this and it'll be on YouTube. And I'm just doing this here because I have the good graces of Allah to have a brother like Junaid here, my friend, welcome me here and record these recordings for me and for you and for the group. So I'm here for that reason. I'm not here because I want to get a lot of people to come on and I can shout them out one thing after the other. No, the message is important for me. So now I wasn't gonna mess with our Sunni brothers today, but something said to me, no, don't pass them up. You touch them up a little bit because otherwise they think you're getting soft. There's no individual thing. So let me just go off track a little bit before I go into my main topic and clear up something a little better. We've dealt with it before. It's been dealt with before. For me, I like to approach things from different angles, Oh, I'm sorry. Was it somebody iPhone? I think was on. Is it Brother Muhammad Shafiq? Okay, salam to you too as well. Um, I like to, if I make an argument, as a da'i, I'm a da'i. That's what I am, a da'i, and invited to Allah. That's what I do. I'm not a sheikh, mufti, alim, qadi, or anybody like that. I am a da'i. And so by such, I invite to Allah and I put forth argument in defense of His word. And I consider myself a prosecuting attorney on the defense side. I not only will defend my position, but I'll prosecute you as well. I'll take that role up and do that. So now, what I want to do is ask my Sunni brothers a question, because they always say, well, brother, how do you following this Qur'an alone? How do you make salah? How do you make hajj? How do you fast? How do you pay your zakat? They'll tell you nothing about shahada and all. How do you do these things without the sunnah? And how do you have the sunnah without the hadith to deliver the sunnah to you? So therefore, they quote chapter 4, verse 59, where it says, uh, paraphrasing, uh, obey Allah and obey the messenger and those in authority among you. And if you quarrel about anything, refer to Allah and his messenger or something to that effect. So this is one of their number one go-to verses. So I want to take that away from them again today. We've taken it away from them before. Sometimes somehow or another they sneak in and they get it and make a copy of it and pass it around. So we want to take care of their copies and break their copy machine and all of that, so that they won't be able to use this verse no more. So let's see if we can do that. Let's take a look at chapter 57, because they say obey Allah and obey the messenger, but they want to say obey the prophet. You see, they refuse to say messenger. They somehow or another, they won't say messenger. They'll say obey Allah and obey the prophet. I said, well, brother, it says the messenger. They said, well, messenger, prophet. He was the same person, right? Yeah, so the prophet and the messenger is the same thing. Don't be silly. This is what they tell us. So let's see if that's the case. So we want to look at chapter 57, verse 19. Now, and when I quote these verses, you might look in your Qur'an and you might find instead of 19 is 17, or instead of 19 is 20. So you have to just look up and down and make sure that we're on the same page, because the translators are translating a little differently. So verse 19, and those who believe in Allah and his messengers, and they are the truthful, the faithful ones with their Lord. They have their reward and their light. And those who disbelieve and reject our messages, they are the inmates of hell, of the hellfire. Let me read it again. And those who believe in Allah and his messengers. Allah says, those who believe in Allah and his messengers. Those who believe in Allah and his messengers. Now, I have to say this over and over. Say, well, why is he doing that, like with children or something like that? No, there's a very intelligent group of people here that come and listen to these arguments and so forth. But then there are some very plain type people, and they understand this. But for the intelligent person who acts so stupid, like he doesn't understand it, I have to talk to him in baby talk, because it says, "And those who believe in Allah and His messengers," and you want to say prophets. When Allah says messengers, you want to say prophets. Well, I have to say, look, brother, it's messengers, messengers. These are messengers. There's a difference. It says they are the truthful. The people who do that, they are the truthful, and they are the faithful ones with their Lord. They have their reward with their Lord. They have their light. And those who disbelieve and reject our messages, they are the inmates of the fire. So all I have to do now is ask my Sunni brother, uh, does this include Muhammad? Does this include Muhammad? Was Muhammad, did Muhammad believe in the messengers? And was he truthful and was he faithful? So let's go and see about the messengers. Chapter 2, verse 285. Let's see if Muhammad fit that verse there. 2:285. chapter 2, verse 285, it says there, the messenger believes in what has been revealed to him from his Lord. The messenger believes in what has been revealed to him from his Lord. And in brackets, so do the believers. They all believe in Allah. They all of them believe in Allah and his angels and his books and his messengers. So therefore, we see the messenger believes in the messengers. We make no difference between, no distinction, no difference between any of his messengers. And they say, we hear and obey our Lord, thy forgiveness do we crave, and to thee is the eventual course. They say, we hear and we obey the messenger. The messenger that does that. So now the messenger, yeah, he believes. He believes in the messengers. So when I go back and I asked him about this 5719, I asked him, excuse me, well, okay, so now, was he truthful? Was he truthful? Was Muhammad truthful? What do you think they're going to say? Yes, they're going to say yes. The Sunni is going to say yes, he was truthful. So if I ask him, excuse me, was he faithful? Was he faithful? They're going to say yes, he was faithful. Muhammad was faithful. If I ask, was he a righteous person? Was he righteous? They're going to say, yes, he was a righteous man. So I said, well, wow, look at that. He was truthful and he was faithful and he was a righteous man. Is that, you sure about that? And they're going to say, yes. They're going to say, yes. I said, well, do you believe also that he was a prophet? Do you believe that he was a prophet, Muhammad? Do you believe he was a prophet? And what are they going to say? Yes, certainly. Why you asking these silly questions? You're a Muslim, you know we believe this. That's what they're going to say. So I'm going to say, okay, good. Now, the trap has been set. You fell into the trap. So now let me lock it down on you in chapter 4, verse 69. Let me lock it down. You stepped in it like a bear, one of the things for the bears. You step in it and then clank, it clamps on your foot. And now you jam. So now let me lock it down for you. You just admitted all that, so you can't take it back now. So you admitted that. You admitted that Muhammad was faithful, he was truthful, he was righteous, and he was a prophet. He was a prophet. But yet you tell us that we should obey Allah and obey the prophet. Obey the prophet. Obey the prophet. So chapter 4, verse 69. Look what it says. 469 says, whoever, because before the other verse, chapter 57, verse 19, it says, those who believe. Those meaning whoever. It means the same thing. Those who believe in Allah and his messengers. Look at the difference now. Those who believe in Allah and his messengers. They're with the truthful, the faithful, and so forth and all that. That's who they are. Because what? They believe in Allah and their messengers. Messengers, plural, you see? But here, it's getting a little different, a little more specific here. It says, whoever obeys, not believe now, obeys Allah and the messenger, not his messengers, not his messengers. Whoever obeys Allah, whoever obeys Allah and the messenger. You see the difference? Not whoever believes in Allah and his messengers. Yeah, you can believe in them, but you don't have to obey them. You can believe in them. That don't mean you obey them. You believe in them. But here now, it says, whoever, whoever, whoever means whoever, obeys Allah and the messenger. right away I'll stop you right there and say, excuse me, does this apply to Muhammad? Did Muhammad obey Allah and the messenger? Did Muhammad obey Allah and the messenger? Because we just saw that Muhammad said he believed in the messengers and the books, and we obey and we don't do anything other than that. So look what the verse says. Whoever obeys Allah and the messenger, they are those upon whom Allah has bestowed what? Favors from among the prophets and the truthful and the faithful and the righteous, and a goodly company are they. So look at that. So now, in order to be obeying Allah, to obey Allah and the messenger, the prophet himself is included in that category of people who are required to do that. You see, Muhammad, look. Whoever obeys Allah and the messenger, they are among those upon whom Allah has bestowed favor from among the prophets. The prophets getting the favor from Allah because why? They obeyed Allah and the messenger. So the prophets get favors. And the truthful, they get favors. And the faithful, they are favored. And the righteous, they are favored. So now, the prophets are among those who obey Allah and the messenger. It's very simple. So therefore, now we can see that prophet and messenger is different because it's obey Allah, obey the messenger, and you saying obey the messenger, and we see that the prophet and messenger is different, and the prophet has to obey the messenger to be favored with Allah. So we see that very clearly now. So who was the messenger that the prophet had to obey? The prophet. Well, say Jibril. Say Jibril. Or say himself, because he had two categories. He was the prophet, and as the prophet, he was called a da'i. He was a da'i, and he went about the society inviting people to Allah. But as the messenger, he delivered the message, and he had to obey the message himself. So again, we shut down that obey Allah and obey the messenger business there. You go and look at this later on, ponder it, think about it. But if any Sunni walk up on me with that, I'm wearing them out. I'm putting them on blast. Him is the sheikh, the scholars, whoever they are. They have to eat this lunch right here. They have to eat that. That's lunch for them. And I have more I could build on with them, but this is just a quick fix, real quick, that solves the problem. So much for that. We get our Sunni brothers just a little taste. We didn't want them to escape today with nothing. So you can go now and relax. You Sunni brothers who probably don't want to hear this lecture or don't want to hear anymore. If you was on YouTube and you saw it and you heard that much, and then when you get to the rest of this lecture, you're not happy with that. Well, then you got your plate full already. That's enough agony for you. You shouldn't even came there and you got that. So now it's on you. So you got agony on you for now. The agony. So now my topic today, I'm addressing the individual person, a call waiting, a call waiting. And let me introduce that with some verses here. Chapter 20. I want to kind of take my time with this. Chapter 20. Anybody who has to leave, who's in the Zoom, if you have to leave, don't be embarrassed to leave. Feel free to leave. It's no problem. And we'll have this recorded. You can come back and look at it on YouTube. Anybody who's watching it on YouTube and you want to walk away, you can pause it and come back later. Or you can not come back. It's up to you. Whatever it is, you're going to be held accountable for this Qur'an. This Qur'an has been made fodder for you. It's fodder. It's obligatory. So, chapter 20, verse 115 to 124. And certainly we gave a commandment to Adam before, but he forgot, and we found in him no resolve to disobey. In other words, he didn't intentionally intend to disobey Allah. And when we said to the angels, be submissive to Adam, they submitted, except Iblis, he refused. We said, oh Adam, this is an enemy to you. This is an enemy to thee and to thy wife. So let him not drive you both out of the garden, so that you are unhappy. He's an enemy. Be careful. Allah tells you right away that Iblis is an enemy. Surely it is granted to thee therein that thou art not hungry nor naked. In that garden, you're not hungry and you're not naked. You're not naked. You're not naked. That means you must have some kind of apparel on or something, whatever it is, you're not naked. And that thou art not thirsty therein, nor exposed to the sun's heat. But the devil made an evil suggestion to him. He said, O Adam, shall I lead you to the tree of immortality and a kingdom that decays not? So here comes the devil whispering some nonsense to Adam about the grandeur of something that maybe he's being deprived of. So they both ate of it. Then their evil inclinations, the way it's translated here, became manifest to them, and they began to what? Cover themselves. So right away, I'm thinking about something. This is not part of the argument. I'm just stopping here to think. It says, before they were not naked therein. In verse 118, it says, they were not hungry and they were not naked. Now all of a sudden, they began to cover themselves, so they must have became naked. They must have became naked, so somehow or another for them to be covering themselves with the leaves of the garden. So anyway, I'll look at that later. Just a passing thought. You might want to consider that too. And Adam disobeyed his Lord and was disappointed. He disobeyed his Lord and he was disappointed. Whatever his Lord told him to do, he didn't do it. He didn't listen to Allah. He listened to the shaitan. He didn't listen to Allah. He listened to Iblis. Then his Lord chose him, because if you read the whole story throughout the Qur'an, he made dua and asked Allah to pardon him or forgive him. So Allah chose him, turned to him, and guided him. He said, now Allah says to him, go forth, therefore, all of you, one of you, the enemy to the other, and there will surely come to you guidance from me, a guidance from me. Then whoever follows my guidance will not go astray, nor be unhappy. And verse 124, and whoever turns away from my reminder, so now the word guidance is turned into dhikr, reminder, my reminder, which we know the Quran is the reminder, so it's the same thing as the revelation. For him is surely, whoever turns away, for him is surely a straight in life, and we shall raise him up blind on the day of resurrection. So here, I'm choosing that because this is where I see the first place where I can use my call waiting argument as to be applicable. So now, a call waiting. So this a call waiting, what I'm gonna do is address this issue as a wake up call, as a wake up call. You know, you go to travel somewhere and you're in the hotel room and you got to get up and go to a conference at a certain time. So you ask the people at the front desk, excuse me, can I get a wake up call? So your phone will ring in the morning. So wake up call. So when I say a call waiting, that simply implies that there's somebody holding on. Somebody's holding on You're on the phone and somebody's holding on. I'm the CEO of a company. My secretary comes in and she says, Mr. Malik, you have a call waiting on line one. So I have a call waiting on line one. I should pick it up. I said, no, just tell them to hold on, hold on. And so they come back later on and say, they're still waiting. Should I, what I tell them? I tell them, well, no, just hold on or just dismiss it. So what is that? What is the A side of the argument? The A side, putting Allah on hold, putting Allah on hold. This is what mankind as a whole is basically doing on day to day, putting Allah on hold, having Allah wait. Allah is calling to you and you having him wait. And Shaitan is calling to you and you're answering Shaitan every day. This is the way it goes down. Every day you're getting two calls, one from Allah and one from Shaitan. And the majority of mankind puts Allah on waiting, on hold while they do their nonsense. So now let's take a look. Let's build this argument. Putting Allah on hold, a call waiting. So a wake-up call. When I say a wake-up call, chapter 79, verses 1 to 26. A wake-up call. 79, 1 to 26. 79, 1 to 26. By those yearning vehemently, and those going forth cheerfully, and those running swiftly, and those that are foremost going ahead, and those regulating the affair. The day when the quaking one shall quake. You know, we just had an earthquake the other day, and everybody's pants was getting kind of moist. And the day when the quaking one shall quake, and the consequence rather will follow it. Hearts that day will palpitate. Hearts that day will palpitate. Let me just stop on this note for a minute because I'll have to come back to this later on because I was discussing this issue about the word kulub, fuad, akal, and so forth, sudur, and the heart. Where is the heart located on the body? So now it says here, the day when the hearts will palpitate. Well, we know palpitating heart is in the chest. We know what the word palpitate means. It means to beat rapidly, strongly, or an irregular beat. So that kulub is in the chest, area. It will palpate. What is it? Populate. So now before, and I'm just digressing here for a minute. Before, when I said in chapter 22, what is it, 22:46, when Allah says, it's not the eyes that are blind, or it's not your ears that are deaf or your eyes that are blind, some paraphrasing like that, but it's the hearts that are in your chest. Your heart is blind. And I want to make that argument because I want to show the intelligence of the heart and why Allah downloaded the Qur'an on the qulub of the messenger, on the heart. I'm going to make that argument later on. But here, when you see this verse right here, we can clear up now that that qulub that Allah downloaded the Quran is in this chest here, not in his brain. It's not his brain. But anyway, just past that, think about this verse, palpitate, and see what that means if the heart is palpitating in your brain. So otherwise, maybe your brain's is palpitating. Okay, now let's continue. Their eyes downcast. They say, shall we indeed be restored to our first state? What? After we are rotten bones? after we are rotten bones? They say. That would be then a return to loss. Allah says there, it is only a single cry, verse 15, verse 14 now, when lo, they will be awakened. They will be awakened. They'll have that a wake up call now. This will be their wake up call. They will be awakened. A single cry, and you'll wake up. You know, you're not going to sit around. I'll put them on hold. I'll call back later. Now, verse 15, has not there come to thee the story of Moses when he said, when his Lord what? Called him. When his Lord called him in the holy valley of Tuwa. Moses didn't say, wait a minute, I'll get to you later, and put Allah on call waiting. Moses responded right away when Allah called to him. Go to Pharaoh, surely he has rebelled, and say, wilt thou purify yourself? Will you purify yourself? Like Allah asked the messenger during the prophet during the time of the blind man issue, chapter 80, somewhere around verse 1 or 3 or something over there. Well, how do you know that the blind man would not purify himself? You passed by him with this message and went to somebody else. How did you know he wouldn't purify himself? So here we're saying, go to Pharaoh. Maybe he's going to listen to what you're saying, and as a result, purify himself. You see, because the law says, if it was not for Allah, he said, none of you would be purified. So it's his message that will purify you. So anyway, that's just a footnote in there. And I will guide thee to the Lord so that thou fear. So he said, I will what? Guide you to the Lord. He's a da'i. He's going to guide you to the Lord, you see. So he showed him the mighty signs. But he denied and disobeyed, then went back hastily. So he gathered and called out. Then he said, I am your Lord, the Most High. I am your Lord, the Most High. This is what Pharaoh said. I am your Lord, the Most High. He called out. So Allah seized him with the punishment of the hereafter and of this life. He got punishment in both places, this life and the hereafter. Surely there is in this a lesson for him who fears. There's a lesson in that for the person who fears. Fears what? Fears the day of standing before their Lord. You fear the day of accountability. If you fear the day of accountability, then there's a lesson in what I just read, and you read it over again later on and see if you can discover how that applies to you and your accountability for your Lord. So now, the call waiting. Put on the law on hold. Putting the law on hold. Chapter 9, verse 24. Chapter 9, verse 24. And it's unfortunate that I have to go through all these pages and turning and doing all that because I haven't utilized the modern technology of computer and iPad and got my notes and everything done properly. I've been used to writing them out, and so it's a part of being stubborn and hard-headed. But anyway, I just hope I accomplish my mission one way or the other. So chapter 9, verse 24, say, if your fathers and your sons, so the Lord is saying, tell, if your fathers and your sons, and your brethren and your wives, and your kinfolks and the wealth you have acquired, and the trade whose dullness you fear, and the dwellings you love, if these things are dearer to you than Allah and his messenger, and striving in his way, then what? Wait. Then wait. You see, since you want to put Allah on call waiting and call waiting, and Allah's calling you. We're going to establish that, and you have him waiting. So Allah's telling you then, if these things here, you so busy you can't answer his call, and so you got all tied up in all these things, other things here. Allah said, well, then you wait till Allah brings about his command to pass. And Allah, God, is not a transgressing people. So you wait and see who can outwait who. So, sometimes you come home back in the old days anyway, when before everybody had cell phones and one thing after the other. You had a phone in the house, and you come home, normally the first thing you say, did anybody call? Did anybody call? Hmm. So we're saying, yeah, Allah has called. Allah has called. Has anybody called you? Mankind, has anybody called you? Yes, your Lord has called you. And I gave a hint at 186 in my introduction when I announced this meeting, that I would use this verse 186. So let's take a look at it. Did anybody call? 186. 186. Because this is a verse that we quote all the time, constantly. And when my servants ask thee concerning me, surely I am not. I answer, they got the prayer, it's the dua. It's the dua, it's the call or the invitation, but the call, it's not the prayer. We showed that there's no prayer, dua, because Allah, we're going to show you that Allah does the dua. But so let it be that. I'm not going to quibble over that right now. The point is that Allah says he answers when you call, when his servants and actually slaves there, when you call, he answers you. He answers you. He answers the supplement when he calls. When he calls on me. So they should hear my call and believe in me that they may walk in the right way. So Allah said, look, when my servants, when they ask about me, I'm near. I hear your call. I hear your call. Hear means to not just I hear you. Did you hear? Yeah, I heard that. No, it means I accept. I respond. Hear means I respond to you. I don't just hear you. I respond to you when you call. So now let's see. Allah says he's near. So let's see how near he is. Do we have to call? Because of my argument before also is that anytime you call on Allah, such as a dua or something like that, it doesn't have to be vocal. It's quiet, because Allah is close to you. You're not reciting the Qur'an. When you recite the Qur'an, it has to be vocal. It has to be loud so that people can hear it. But when you're making this so-called dua, whatever it is, it's silent, because Allah is close to you, and you don't have to say nothing. You're speaking to Allah directly. You're asking him. You're not reciting to the people anything. So let's see how close he is. Chapter 50, verse 16. Chapter 50, verse 16. Let's see how close he is. Chapter 50, verse 16. And certainly we created man, and we know what his mind suggests to him. And we are nearer to him than his life vein. We're nearer to him than his life vein. Allah is nearer to you than your very life. So what are you talking out loud to Allah for? You don't have to talk out loud to Allah. You can just think. If you think something, He knows your thoughts. And if you mumble something to yourself or whatever, do that. But Allah, you don't have to do that. Just your mind. Allah knows your mind and what you're thinking. So that's how close He is. When my servants ask concerning me, I am near to them. So that's how close, closer than your life. Let's take another look. Chapter 6, verse 38. Chapter 6, verse 38. Chapter 6, verse 38. Let's see how close He is again. And there's no animal in the earth, nor bird that flies on its two wings, but they are communities like yourselves, and we have not neglected anything in the book. Then to their Lord will they be gathered. Verse 39. And those who reject our messages are deaf and dumb in darkness, whom Allah pleases to leave in error, and whom He pleases, He guides on the right path. And verse 40, say, see if the chastisement of Allah overtakes you, or the hour comes upon you, will you call others than Allah if you're truthful? Will you call others than Allah if you're truthful? No. You're going to call Allah. You see, Allah says you're going to call Him. You're not going to worry about call waiting now. You'll call on Him. Did anybody call you? Then you called on Allah. So chapter 2, verse 221. Let's take a look and see what we see there. Chapter 2, verse 221. 221. We're talking about now calling, answering, responding to Allah's call. This is what we're talking about. There's two, you're being called every day by two entities. Either by Allah is calling you every day, 24/7, or Shaitan is calling you every day, 24/7, and you're responding every day to one or the other or both. You're responding every day to one or the other or both. At the end of the day, I suggest you tally up and see what your day looks like and who did you respond to. Who did you respond to at the end of the day when you finish your day? Did you respond to Allah's call or did you respond to Shaitan's call? Did you respond to both? More of Shaitan, you went out and you did a lot of course, foolishness and one thing after the other, and then you did a couple of good things and all of that. So you responded to Allah. So you have to do that every day. This is the individual. Every day you have to take a tally because it might be your last day. And so you want to make sure that's if you're concerned, if you believe in Allah on the last day. If you don't believe in Allah on the last day, that means you don't believe in accountability. You don't believe you'll be held accountable for anything. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to take inventory or take note of anything. Just do as you please. Do as you please. So, chapter 2, verse 221. And marry not the idolatrous until they believe. And certainly a believing maid is better than an idolatrous, than an idolatrous rather, even though they please you. Nor give believing women in marriage to idolaters, until they believe, and certainly to believe in slave is better than an idolater, even though they please you. These invite, these call to the fire. And that's the Shaitan crowd. They call to the fire. That's the Shaitan crowd. And Allah calls to the garden and forgiveness by His will. That's Allah's call. You can decide which one you want to answer. And he makes clear his messages that men may be mindful. So this is made clear to you. It's made clear to you now that you be made mindful that you're being called from two different entities during the day of your life. Every individual on the planet Earth, I don't care what your position is or whatever, and groups of you together or whatever, you're being called. You see? So now, let's see what the messenger said about this. This is what Allah said there in chapter 57, verse 8. Let's see what the messenger, what his role is here. The messenger, 57, verse 8. 57, verse 8. And and what reason have you that you believe not in the law? This is a question that Allah is asking you. It's rhetorical. That question is rhetorical. It means you have no reason. When Allah says, "What reason that you have that you believe not in the law?" Yeah, that's not for you to answer. Say, "Well, the reason is because of this, because of that." It means you have no reason. That's a rhetorical question. It's a certain truth. You have no reason. And the messenger invites you to believe in your Lord and invites you, calls you to believe in your Lord. And he has indeed accepted your covenant if you're believers. So the messenger invites you to believe in your Lord. That's what the messenger invites you to do, to believe in your Lord. You see? And then don't forget, we said before that the messenger, Allah, those who believe in Allah and his messenger are with the prophets. So the prophet is being distinguished in the other one here. We have the messenger. And 1025, let's see what the call is there. Is Allah calling us? Is Allah calling us, and are we responding? Are we responding? We meaning humanity, humankind, everyone, regardless of who you are, what your background is, for your religious persuasion, your position in life. Everyone, this message is for every individual person. Individual. 1025. 1025. And Allah invites, calls, Allah invites to the abode of peace, and he guides whom he pleases to the right path. He invites to the abode of peace, and he guides whom he pleases ila siratul mustaqim, to the right path, to the right path. Now, let's take a look at chapter 6, verse 126. 6, 126. 6, 126. This is for the individual. My talk is for the individual. It's got nothing about the groups and what they're doing and what this person is doing and look why they do this and why that. No, it's about yourself. It's about you. It's about you, the reader of the Qur'an. These verses in this lecture is about you. You can't escape this. Now you could pass it and you can listen to it today and go on about your business and don't apply it every day, and you'll be see how you're getting jammed because this is an everyday affair. You must apply this mindset every day that Allah is calling you and Shaitan is calling you. Simple as that. If you don't, you're a loser. Simple as that. You're just losing right out the gate without even giving yourself a fair chance. Chapter 6, verse 126 to 128. So whoever Allah intends to guide, he expands his breast for Islam. And whosoever he intends to leave in error, he makes his breast straight and narrow as though he were ascending upwards. Thus does Allah lay uncleanness on those who believe not. verse 127. And this is the path of thy Lord, the straight path. Indeed, we have made the messages clear for people who mind. 128. Theirs is the abode of peace with their Lord, and he is their friend because of what they do. So Allah invites to the abode of peace. And Allah talks about here those who follow Allah, they're the friends of Allah, and they are in enjoying this Darul Islam in this life. And the next life will be the same thing. So Allah invites to the Darul Islam. Allah invites to the abode of peace. That's what He's calling you to. He's calling you to that every day. He's calling you to that every day. Look at the nonsense that's going on in the world, the fitna that's going on throughout the world. Imagine if mankind, because this book is for mankind, get thee out of here, the guidance will come to you, whoever follows the guidance. So imagine if they follow this guidance, it would not have the fitna that's going on, but they're not, so they're disobeying this. So that's clear, right? The Quran is making itself manifest right there, that it's right and exact and on point. So now, chapter 14, verse 44. Chapter 14, verse 44. Chapter 14, verse 44. And warn people of a day when the chastisement will come on to them, then the wrongdoers will say, the chastisement will come to them, warn them beforehand of the day when the chastisement will come to them. Like I said the other day, the earth shook for a minute, and here in New York, and everybody was panicking, and that was like a little 4 point something. Imagine if it had went up to like 7 point something or whatever, and buildings started falling all over the place, and subways and streets started tumbling in, and people are dead and rotten and stinking and all over the place, and the grocery stores and everything is shut down, and you can't get no food or nothing. You can imagine the fitna that would happen. So Allah says, warn you of that. This is a day-to-day affair. So warn you what? And warn people of a day. Now, a day, there's only 2 days in existence. There's today, which is a partial day that we live in. It's a partial day. Allah says, how long did you tarry in the earth? A day, a part of a day. And then there's the next life, the last day, which is the day eternal. So that warning of a day is today. Today is forever today. It's just one day. So be aware of this every single day because it's one day. Don't think that tomorrow and all that kind of thing. This is some terms you use, and so it's no problem. But Allah letting you know is letting you know that this is just one day. Today could be your day. And warn people of the day when the chastisement will come to them. And the wrongdoers will say, our Lord, respite us to a near term. We will respond to thy call and follow the messengers. You see, we're not going to put you on hold. Now you want a do-over. You want a return call. Excuse me, they hung up. Well, can you dial them back? Can you get them back? That was an important call. But you kept them waiting, so they hung up. Well, I need that call. Trace the number, see if you can get it. No, there's no return call here. You see why? Because now you see the chastisement is on you and all that, and now you want to do good. You respond to the call, and what? We will respond to that call. Follow the messengers, and follow the messengers. You see, we will follow the messengers. Did you not swear before that there will be no passing away for you? So Allah has chided you for that. Now you will follow the messengers. Now we remember we said in chapter 20, verse 134. Chapter 20, verse 134, the purpose of the messengers. We will respond to your call So Allah is telling you what his call is, that you follow the messengers and that you follow the messengers. So that means you follow the messages. You follow the messages, you see? And that means that you follow Allah. Allah says in 1035, who's more worthy to be followed? Him who guides to the truth, and him who knows not the way unless he is guided. So you follow Allah. So what does it say in chapter 20, verse 134? Chapter 20, verse 134. Chapter 20, verse 134. We've repeated this over and over again. And so we'll just keep repeating it and it'll sink into someone. 134. And had we, if we had destroyed them for the chastisement before it, they would have said, our Lord, why didst thou not send us a messenger? Why didn't you say, Allah saying you would say this, so he doesn't head you off at the pass. Why didn't you send us a messenger? For what reason? So that we might have followed the messages before we met disgrace and shame. Why didn't you send us a messenger? And so we follow the messages. We send him. We don't need him after the messages. And take a look at 28 verse 47. 28:47. What does it say? 28:47. He said, "Oh, lost, we will come back. Will give us another chance. We'll hear your call and follow the messengers. Send us a messenger so we can follow the messages." And thou was not 47, unless a disaster should fall before them for what their hands have sent before. They should say, "Our Lord, why didst thou not send us a messenger?" Why didn't you send us? Allah saying he's going to stop you from being able to say that. Because had he not sent you a messenger, you got a case against Allah on the day of resurrection, on the day of accountability. You'll have a case. So Allah's taking your cases away. He's closing them down. He's nullifying your stuff right away. He says, lest you a disaster should befall you for what your hands have sent forth, for what their hands have sent forth, and you should say, our Lord, why didst thou not send us a messenger so that we should have followed the messengers, so that we might have been followed the messages rather, and been of the believers. So your hands sent forth, like what you're doing over there in Gaza and different places now, killing women and children and all of that. And Allah has already done sent you messengers to tell you about this conduct of yours in life. So had he not did that and you were doing that, then you would have a case against Allah. So Allah sent messengers with messages to tell you how to conduct yourself in this human society that you're living in. And then we make it clear about Muhammad, uh, that chapter 3, verse 143, Muhammad was only a messenger. He was only a messenger. If he dies or is slain, would you turn back on your heels? Send us a messenger so we can follow the messages. Muhammad is only a messenger who brought the messages. You don't need him after that. We don't need the messenger after we have the messages. We don't need that. We don't need that. Chapter 8, verse 24. Allah's call. We're talking about the call of Allah. We're going to talk about the call of Shaitan in 1 minute. And we'll wrap it up with a very famous da'i in the Qur'an and his call. Chapter 8, verse 24. O you believe, respond to Allah and his messenger when he calls you to that which gives you life. And know that Allah comes between a man and his heart, and that to him you shall all be gathered. You be gathered. So respond to Allah and his messenger when he calls you to that which gives you life. Can you understand that? What you're being called to is something that gives you life. This life you have right now is temporary. Temporary. You will die and be resurrected into another life, and that's the life that you want. You want the good of this life, but you want the longevity and the eternal situation, as you can understand it, of the next life. So this revelation that's been sent, the messenger is calling you to that, and that will give you life. Like the followers of Jesus said, Master, what shall I do to have eternal life? Eternal life. And he told them to take the commandments, follow the commandments. Pretty much the same thing like over here. So now, let's take a look at chapter 8, verse 31. We're right over here on the same area because it says, "Oh, you believe, respond to Allah and his messenger when he calls you to that which gives you life." And over here, verse 31, it says, "When our messages are recited to them, they say, 'We have heard. If we wished, we could say the like of it. This is nothing but stories of the ancient.'" In other words, what you calling us to and all that, we could say the same thing. This, you have this hadith, optional hadith. We have hadith Qudsi. We have hadith Qudsi. We could say the same thing. It's holy hadith. Hadith Qudsi, Qudus. You see? So the people are challenging that we can do the same thing. That's a challenge. We can do the same thing. If we wish, we can do the same thing. It's a challenge. Mithlihi. Chapter 52, verse 34. Chapter 52, verse 34. When you read the context, you can see what the context is, but verse 34 says, "Then let them bring a saying, which is a hadith. Let them bring a hadith like it, mithlihi, like it, if they are truthful." If you're truthful, then Allah got the arsenal hadith here. You said you got hadith Qudsi. So Allah said, bring a hadith like it if you're truthful. Now, have you met that requirement? Are you suggesting that hadith Qudsi is the same as Asano hadith? Hmm, hmm. That's some dangerous territory to be wandering into. But they do that. But they do that. They do that. Chapter 36, verse 68 to 70. We're still dealing with Allah's call and the benefit of adhering and picking up and answering that call when that call comes in. Don't put that call on hold. Don't put it on call waiting. Don't put it on the answering machine and I'll get back to you later. No, answer that call right away. Chapter 36, verse 68. 68. "And whomsoever we cause to live long, we reduce to an abject state in creation. Do they not then understand? And we have not taught him poetry, nor is it meet or is it befitting for him. This is naught, nothing but a reminder and a plain Qur'an." This is nothing but a reminder and a plain Qur'an. Remember, Allah says in chapter 20, verse 130, 124, "Whoever turns away from my reminder," you see, that's the Qur'an. This is nothing but a reminder and a plain Qur'an. "To warn him who would have life." If you want to have life, he calls you to that which gives you life. What is he calling you with? Well, he's telling you right here with the Quran. He's using the Quran to call you to that which gives you life. So turn to the Quran. That's Quran alone, by the way. Alone, by the way. Quran only. What you like? Quran alone, Quran only, whatever one you like. Qur'anis, Qur'anis. This is Qur'anis. And warn him with who would have life, and that the word may have proved true against the disbelievers, against the disbelievers. So now we'll look at a couple of more verses, chapter 14, verse 10, and we'll be out of this segment. 14:10. 14:10. Chapter 14, verse 10. The messengers said, is there any doubt about Allah, the maker of the heavens and the earth? He invites you. He calls you. He invites you. He calls you to forgive you of your faults and to respite you till an appointed time. Allah is calling you, give you a chance to forgive you, to pardon you of your faults, and give you some time, give you time now to build up your situation. They said, you are nothing but a mortal like us. You wish to turn us away from that which our fathers used to worship. So bring us a clear authority. So bring us a clear authority, meaning some catastrophe, let it befall us, and then we'll see what it is, and we'll know for sure that you're speaking the truth. Let something fall on us, you see? So, 1752, we just said Allah calls you to pardon you. He's not calling you to condemn you and all that. He wants to give you a chance to get your act together because it's going to be heavy, a hard situation when you die and you stand before him and you had him waiting. You had him on call waiting. On call waiting. 1752. 1752. And on the day when he will call you forth, you will obey him, giving him praise, and you will think that you tarried what? But a little, but a little. On the day, what day? It's just a little. That day was just a little. You see that, Saeed? That day was just a little, you see? But you will obey him when he called you that day. You're not going to say, excuse me, the angel of death come in, it's, okay, it's time for you to, we're taking your soul. Oh no, can you wait? I got some stuff I got to do this afternoon. And I got suit pressed and all that. I'm got to go to this wedding. Can you come back some other time? No. On the day when he calls you, the day, what day? That same day that's just one day, and you'll think that you tarried just but a little, but you will obey him. 29:42. Allah is calling you. Don't put him on hold. Don't put him on hold. Don't do that. That's anybody on the planet Earth. Every human being is being called. Every human being is being told by this lecture, don't put Allah on hold, whatever you do. 29:42, you don't want to do that. You only respond to his call the best you can. 29:42. Surely Allah knows whatever they call upon besides him, and he is the mighty, the wise. So when you're putting Allah on hold, you're calling on someone besides Allah. And he knows who it is. Allah is telling you he knows. He's the mighty, the wise. He know why you got him on hold. He know why you're not responding to his call. He know why you clowning and doing dumb stuff every day. He knows why. He knows. Don't think he doesn't know. He's letting you know. He says, surely Allah knows whatever they call on besides him. He knows what it is. 31:30. 31:30. We're almost finished with this now. 31:30. Couple more verses. 31:30. That is because the law is the truth. That is because the law is the truth. You can read these verses in context. I'm just quoting the text. The text. So, brother, you quoting it out of context. We said that's what a quote is. A quote is a text quoted out of context. That's what a quote is. I'm quoting these texts. So you can put them back in context later on. You can recite them in Arabic. You can go get your shakes and your mullahs and all of that and check what it is. This is easy. This lecture here is user friendly. It's for everybody. I'm not blasting. I got you before earlier with the obey Allah and obey the messenger thing. That was for my Sunni brothers in particular, to squash that mess they doing. So in case you wanted to run away and you don't want to sit here and listen to this, I put that out there early for you to have that dose to take with you while you run. Because you are running all the time. You're always on the run. For anybody got patience to sit and listen or to ponder this is for the individual person. That either you're being called by Allah or by Shaitan. Who else is calling you? And you're responding to one or the other every day or both. How much did you do of one or the other? You have to check that. You really don't care if you responded to Shaitan and put a law on hold, put a law on the back burner. You don't care about that, especially as a Muslim, as a person who believes in Allah and His Messenger and His messages, whether you're a Christian or whomever. You don't want to know what your Lord is calling you to. This Qur'an is right here as well. You have to consider that as a call. You can't overlook that and say, I just believe in the Old Testament or the New Testament or whatever. You have to consider all this revelation, and especially the last revelation. That's the one that is going to be the cleanup one. You see, surely this Quran makes clear for the Christians and the Jews, much of which they pass over. So you want to consider the last thing that was said by God. That's claimed. We claim this is the last revelation. And so this is what you want to be aware of. So that was chapter 31, verse 30. That is because the law is the truth, and that which they call on upon besides him, that is falsehood. Falsehood, batil, falsehood, and that Allah, He is the High, the Great. What they call on besides Him is falsehood. And then the twin brother to that is chapter 10, verse 32. Chapter 10, verse 32. We'll put that verse there because it's they're twins. 10:32. 10:32. Twins in the sense that they give pretty much the same message, although one is saying something slightly different. It says, look, 10:32. It says, such then is the law, your true Lord, your true Lord, your true Lord. I passed by the other day a place and it says, Jesus is Lord. I'm going to talk about that. I took a picture of it. I had to stop. The traffic was backing up, blowing horns and all that. I said, no, I got to get a picture of this church. It had a big sign over it said, Jesus is the Lord. So I'll talk about that one day. But Allah says right here, He knows that you got them signs up 1400 years ago. He said, and your true Lord, such is the law, your true Lord. And that which and what is there after the truth but error, the law being the law. How then are you turned away? What is there after the truth when you come to speak about your Lord? Allah is your true Lord. When you talk about Him, He's going to tell you the truth. He is the truth. His revelation is the truth. That which is given to Muhammad is the truth. So what is there after that, but error? when it speaks about God. And I said, wow, well, strange. Look, the Hadith came after that. The Sunnah came after that. That has to be, according to that verse, error. When it speaks about Allah, it has to be error. Simple as that. It's not al-haq. You can trust that for sure. So now, the last two verses in this segment here, chapter 40, verse 60, Allah's call. And then we'll see how Shaitan call. Because Shaitan is going to be calling too. Shaitan is going to be calling too. So chapter 40, verse 60. As far as I'm concerned, this particular type of talk, whether it be for me or whomever, anyone for that matter, has some a lot of weight behind it because, as I said, it's addressing the individual. It's you. Nobody else, nobody else, nobody else can be held accountable for anything that you're doing regarding this now. You can't say, well, I didn't do so and so because of this person, because of that thing. Not. It's only yourself to blame. You see? So that way on the day of Qiyamah, you'll say, had I but listened or pondered, I would not be in the inmates of the hellfire. It's an individual thing. So this is individual for what? Every day. Not like you just did your Ramadan and you fasted for 30 days and now that's over now. You got all these months and days and all that left. And so you don't have to do that. No, this is every day, every minute of the hour. Every minute of the hour, every minute of the hour, every day of your life. This is what this is. This is you have to respond to this. So now chapter 40, verse 60. And your Lord says, they got pray, but it's call. Call to me. I will answer you. And those who disdain my service will surely enter hell abased. Call to me. I will answer you. Simple as that. So now you just have to ask yourself, well, do you call Allah and does he answer you? Oh Allah, why did you answer me? Like right now in Gaza, over in Gaza, people are praying, calling to Allah, oh Allah, stop this war, stop this, don't let the babies and all that. Yet it's going on. So that make this verse wrong? Because Allah says he will answer you. My point is here is that there's no dua. There's no dua where Allah steps in and intervenes and changes stuff for you. There's nothing like that. No. You call on him, he answers you by the laws and the regulations that he put in place. He told you how to end that war, how to not start that war, how to prevent that situation, how to live in this life and as humanity, societies, and benefit from each other. We created you in different hues and colors and all that. Not that you despise each other, but you benefit from each other. The best of you are the best in conduct. But you don't want to do that. You're not listening to that. So there you go. So now you want to say, oh, why didn't he answer my call? I'm praying. Oh, he's mean. He doesn't like me and all that. It's a silly talk. It's ridiculous. But Allah says, when you call, he answers. Simple as that. Chapter 40, verse 66. Let's just step right over to the next page. It says, say, I am forbidden to serve those whom you call on besides Allah. When clear arguments have come to me from my Lord, and I am commanded to submit to the Lord of the worlds. I'm forbidden to call on those whom you call on besides Allah. I'm forbidden to do that. You see? And I'm commanded to submit to the Lord of the worlds. So there we have it. Allah's call. Are you going to respond to that call or not? Or not? So now let's look at Iblis, Shaitan. the devil, his call, because he's calling also. Let's see what his call is about and how should we consider uh, responding to his call. Is there any benefit for us in responding to his call or whatever? But he's calling 24/7 and he's calling you in your language, so you can't act like, well, I didn't know what he was saying. He speaks your language. Shaitan speaks your language. He only calls you in your language. Chapter 4, verse 116 to 120. Let's start there. This Shaitan. 4, 116 to 120. Surely Allah forgives not that setting up partners with him, the setting up partners with him. And he forgives or pardons all besides that to whom he pleases. And whosoever sets up a partner with Allah, he has indeed gone far, far astray. Besides him, they call on nothing but female divinities, and they call on nothing but a rebellious devil, whom Allah has cursed. And he said, certainly I will take of thy servants an appointed portion. This is what Shaitan said. Oh, yeah? Well, I'll get them. I'll take an appointed a portion of them. No, your servants, yeah, I'll snatch them up. Why? Because I'm going to call them. They're going to listen to me. He says, and certainly I will lead them astray and excite in them vain desires, and bid them so that they will slit the ears of cattle, and bid them that they will alter Allah's creation, and whoever takes the devil for a friend, forsaking Allah. Look at this, taking the devil for a friend, forsaking Allah, putting Allah on hold, answering the devil and putting Allah on hold. He indeed suffers a manifest loss. He indeed suffers a manifest loss. You put Allah on hold. You took the devil for a friend and put Allah on hold. That's a manifest loss. That's a loss that's clear. You don't have to even think, wow, was that right or wrong? 24, 21. The devil wants to lead you away. We're just getting started with him. 24, 21. He wants to lead you to hell. Simple as that. He wants to guide you to hell. He wants to be in the lead. 24, 21. O you who believe, follow not the footsteps of the devil. And whoever follows the footsteps of the devil, surely he commands indecency and evil. And were it not for Allah's grace on you and his mercy, what we were saying before, not one of you would have been pure. But Allah purifies whom he pleases, and Allah is hearing, knowing, hearing, knowing, hearing, knowing. Don't follow the footsteps of the devil. He's going to lead you to fawahish and munkar, shameful and evil deeds. Shameful and evil deeds. So let's look at all day long. Now, this is really something important here, because the deeds that we do as humans all day long, either they're laudable that in the sight of Allah, or they're shameful and evil. So just every day, at the end of the day, you look at yourself, you take it before you get ready to go to sleep, as you lay down and get ready to close your eyes, perhaps, just think, wow, what did I do all day from the time I woke up until the time I went to sleep? Was it good things or shameful and evil things? If you did all good things, you're good to go. No problem. If you did some shameful and evil things, then you have to think about, why did I do them? Can I avoid doing them? If you're concerned about Allah on the last day, if you believe in Allah on the last day, Allah said there are those who say they believe in Allah on the last day and they don't. because they don't take advantage of verses like this here and be mindful that you are doing shameful and evil deeds under the sway of Shaitan. Now, 35:13. 35:13. 35:13. This is for every person on the planet Earth. I don't care what language, what culture you come from, whatever your position, your status in life. These are everyday affair thing. It's an everyday affair. It's an everyday affair. Every day. You can't miss a day with none of this. 35:13. You can't miss a day. You can't miss a day. You can't miss a day. 35:13. What does it say? He causes the night to enter upon the day, and he causes the day to enter upon the night. And he has made subservient to you the sun and the moon. Each one moves on its appointed time. This is a law, your Lord. His is the kingdom, and to whom he and those to whom you call on besides him, they own not a straw. They own not a straw. 14. If you call on them, they hear you not. They hear not your call. And if they heard, they could not answer you. And on the day of resurrection, they will deny your associating them with the law, and none can inform thee like the all-aware one. So Allah is informing you now about these entities that you call on besides Him. If you call on them, they can't answer you. They can't do nothing for you. And if they're beings that are intelligent and so forth, they will deny you on the day of resurrection. They'll deny you. They'll deny you. Simple as that. Straight up. Okay. 14:22. 14:22. You got two calls being made every day. One from Allah and one from Shaitan. Now we're dealing with the call from Shaitan. Uh, what verse did I say? 14:22. All right, let's look at 21 first. 14:21. And they will all come forth to Allah. Then the weak will say to those who were proud, the weak will say to those who were proud, and y'all all standing there before Allah, we were your followers. We followed you. Can you avert from us aught of the chastisement of Allah? Can't you do something? We followed you. They will say, if Allah had guided us, we would have guided you. It is the same whether we cry or bear patiently, there's no escape. There's no escape. There's no return call. You see, you can't come back to this life and call again. You see, there's no return call. So we don't accept return calls. It's a one-way call. 22. And the devil will say when the matter is decided, surely Allah promised you a promise of truth, and I promised you and failed you, and I had no authority over you, except what? The very simple, I called you. I had no authority over you. The simple thing is I called you. I just called you. And you obeyed me. But blame me not, but blame yourselves. I cannot come to help you, nor can you come to my help. I deny you associating me with the law before. Surely for the unjust is a painful chastisement. Look at Shaitan. Shaitan is, now he's the one calling you every day. He's calling you every day, and look what he's telling you. Look what Allah's saying that Shaitan is going to do for you. He's going to deny that. He said, look, I got nothing to do. I just called you, and you obeyed me. I've whispered to you. I called you, and you obeyed me. Do this, do that, do that. Don't do this, don't do that. And you obeyed me. It's very simple. No, what's the big problem here? Yeah, I didn't make you do nothing. You blame me. Chapter 36, verse 60 to 64. Hmm. 36, 60 to 64. 36, 60 to 64. Hmm. Allah says here, did I not charge you, O children of Adam, that you should serve not the devil? Surely he is your open enemy. He's your open enemy. Allah letting you know he's not hiding. He's not, you understand, in some disguise so that you don't know who he is. He's an open. He's out in the plain. He's clear. You can see. He whispers to you, and yourself knows right from wrong. So you know that. Everything is built in. Did not warn you, did not tell you, did not charge you, O children of Adam, that you serve not the devil, surely he is to you an open enemy, and that you serve me. This is the Siratul Mustaqim. This is the Siratul Mustaqim, that you serve me, serve me. This is the right way. This is the Siratul Mustaqim. And certainly he led astray numerous people from among you. Could you not then understand? Could you not then understand? This is the hell which you were promised. Enter it this day because you disbelieved. Enter it this day because you disbelieved. Why? 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 Because you disbelieved. That sounds like chapter 40, verse 12. When Allah wahdahu was called upon, you disbelieved. That means you associated with Allah. You see? Why? Because you disbelieved. You were a mushrik. You didn't like wahdahu. You didn't like Allah alongside. You know that, right? Huh? Why? Because you
Not me.
disbelieve. No, not you. Not, not you. No, not you. Not you.
I like Allah.
Yeah. See, so because you disbelieve. Why'd you disbelieve? Because when Allah wahdahu was called upon, you didn't like that. But when others was assigned to him, you were happy. You were happy. So now enter the fire. Why? Because you disbelieved. Because you disbelieved. Okay. Let's look at chapter 43, verse 61. 43, 61. Forty-three, 61 to 64. And this revelation is surely, it's got in parentheses, this revelation in parentheses is surely knowledge of the hour. There's a whole big confusion about that. That's a different topic for a different day. Is knowledge of the hour. So have no doubt about it and follow me. This is the right path. Follow me. Hadha Siratul Mustaqim. And let not the devil hinder you. Surely he is to you your open enemy. He is your open enemy. And when Jesus came with clear arguments, he said, I have come to you indeed that with wisdom and to make you and to make clear to you some of the things about which you differ. So keep your duty to Allah and obey me. Surely Allah is my Lord and your Lord. He said, Jesus is Lord. Surely Allah is my Lord and your Lord. So serve him. This is the right path. Hadha Siratul Mustaqim. It's telling you all of this is the Siratul Mustaqim. You standing every day talking about Siratul Mustaqim. I'm not gonna get sectarians with you, not deal with sectarians and all that. But everybody is they're asking for guidance. I'll just keep that out for right now. For the person. So this is for every person. You're being told what the Sirata Mustaqim is as we go along. What the Sirata Mustaqim is. 59:16. 59:16. We see what Shaitan has in store for us if we follow his call. If we follow his call. Allah calls you to forgive you and pardon you of your sins and to invite you to the abode of peace. Shaitan calls you to disbelieve in your Lord and to lead you to hell. Simple as that. So you're being called every day by both callers. By both callers. You have to decide which one you're going to pick up. 59:16. Like the devil when he says to man, like the devil when he says to man, disbelieve, disbelieve. But when he disbelieves, he says, I'm free of that, free of thee. Surely I fear Allah, the Lord of the worlds. The devil says to man, to man, to man, who? Al-Insan, that's the collective noun for all humanity. He says to all humanity, disbelieve, disbelieve. And when you disbelieve, he says, I ain't got nothing to do with that. I just said that and you did it. I said that and you did it. Who made you? I didn't make you do that. I said disbelieve and you disbelieve. I got nothing to do with that. Don't blame me. 59:16. Let's take a look at 43:36. 43:36. 43:36. And we'll look at verse 37 as well. 43:36 and 37. And whoever turns himself away from the remembrance of Allah, of the Beneficent, whoever turns himself away from the remembrance of the Beneficent, you forget about Allah, you turn away from Allah, the remembrance of the Beneficent, we appoint for him a devil. We appoint for him a devil. We appoint for him a devil. So he is his associate. Whoever turns away from the remembrance of Allah. Don't forget, we can make this case now back when we go back later on. We'll be doing it again, perhaps, when Allah told Moses, O Moses, I am your Lord, establish the Salah for my remembrance. And we're told that the remembrance of Allah is the greatest force. So now, and we're told that the Qur'an is the reminder. The reminder. So now, whoever turns away from it, surely we appoint for you a devil, and he's your associate. And surely they hinder them from the right path, and they think that they are rightly guided. They think that they're rightly guided. Every day you walking around here, everybody's thinking that they're rightly guided. Brother, that's your belief, and that's your belief. I got mine, you got yours. You know, you do what you please or whatever. Or you bickering and arguing about this and that, tit for tat, and one thing after the other. And so this is the issue. So Shaitan has got all this fitna going on with you. Fitna. And chapter 7, verse 30. Chapter 7, verse 30. Chapter 7, verse 30. We're going to be winding up in a minute. Chapter 7, verse 30. Here it says, a party he has guided, and another party, perdition is their justly their due. Surely they took the devil for friends instead of Allah, and they think that they are rightly guided. So here again, they're thinking that they're rightly guided, and they're following Shaitan. They're answering the call of Shaitan. They got Allah on hold. They put Allah on hold. Who's calling? Allah. Well, tell Allah I'm busy right now. I'll get back to him. Well, he said, look, You know, you should answer Allah right now. Okay, well, let's put him on hold. I'll be there in a minute. And then what happened? I hung up the phone. Oh, wow, I forgot that I had Allah on hold. Well, you can't call back that, you know. So this is the kind of nonsense it would seem like you're putting Allah on hold. Such silly mess is this. Chapter 23, verse 73. Chapter 23, verse 73. And while we're there, we'll look at 74 also. And surely thou callest them to a right way. Allah is telling the messenger that you call them ila Sirat al-Mustaqim. You're calling them to the Sirat al-Mustaqim. And surely those who believe not in the hereafter, they are deviating from the right way. So you're calling them now. And never mind what now we had Allah calling them to the right way, the devil calling them to the wrong way, and now we have the messenger on behalf of Allah again calling to the right way, and the devil is wants them to go to the wrong way. 74:49. You know, these are some of these are side notes I have, and sometimes in my lectures I skip them, but that ain't gonna benefit you none. I have them here, but I skipped them. Today I'm not skipping them. I'm reading them into the record, and you can utilize them if you feel you need them. I'm not gonna skip over them. So 74, 49 to 50, 50 to 51. 74, 49 to 51. What is then the matter with you that they turn away from the reminder? What is then the matter with them, rather, that they turn away from the reminder, as if they were frightened asses fleeing from a lion? What is the matter with them that they turn away from the reminder? What's wrong with them? As they were frightened, like they were frightened asses, donkeys, or whatever, fleeing from a lion. 2366. You turn away from the reminder. You put that's all. You're putting the law on hold, and you turn into. Once you turn away from, you turn into something else. You're turning away from the reminder. You're turning to Shaitan. 2366. This is a daily routine. This is every day of your life. This is occurring. You have to take note of it if you intend to enjoy the eternal life and the reward that Allah has for you. It's time you start thinking about that. It's a self thing now. It's about yourself. Save yourself. Don't get caught up in this world game that's going on and get lost with everybody else because you lost your own soul. 2373. 974. Oh no, we just got through doing that.
2366.
Yeah, yeah, we just got through doing that. Did we do 74, 49, and 51?
Yes.
Oh, so we did that. Okay, great. So we almost finished with this. 3121. 3121. And when it is said to them, follow that which Allah has revealed, they say, nay, no, no. We follow what we found our fathers following. We follow what that wherein we found our fathers. That's what we're going to follow. We're not going to follow what Allah revealed. Can you imagine Can you imagine somebody saying that? They're saying you're told to follow what Allah has revealed. You're saying, no, we don't care nothing about what Allah revealed. We're gonna follow what we found our fathers. What? Though the devil calls them to the chastisement of the burning fire. The devil is calling you to the chastisement of the burning fire, and you don't care. What boldness you show for the fire. You don't even care nothing about that. I don't care nothing about that. I'll just deal with the fire I'll cross that bridge when I get there. You see, fire, I'll cross that fire when I get there. We'll see, maybe I can put the fire out, who knows? But don't tell me about none of that now. I'm doing what I found my father's doing. 2366. Did we do that?
Yes.
Okay, so we're done with that. Where my notes are going. All right, let me get out of that while I got a chance. Okay, so I'm going to close out with this. I'm going to close out with Noah. Noah. You see, Noah also was one of the early messenger prophets of Allah. And he was also a very prominent, outspoken da'i, invited to Allah. So I chose to close with on somewhat on his note, leading into my close, and that's going to be Noah chapter 71, verse 1 to 28. 71 verses 1 to 28. Noah. So we're going to see his call, because he was calling as well. And he was calling to one other, Noah. Did he call the people to Shaitan, or did he call the people to Allah? And what kind of time and energy did he put into that effort? Maybe we can take a lesson from that. 71, 1 to 28. Noah. 71, 1 to 28. Excuse me, I'm in the wrong place at the right time. Okay. 71. Surely we sent Noah to his people, saying, warn the people before there comes to them a painful chastisement. He said, O my people, surely I am a plain warner to you, that you should serve Allah and keep your duty to him and obey me. He will forgive you some of your sins and grant you respite to an appointed term. Surely the term of Allah, when it comes, is not postponed. Did you but know? In other words, you can't postpone it. It'll be on you. When your time is up, that's it. No call waiting, no return call. He said, my Lord, surely I call my people night and day. I call them night and day. Sometimes they had day jobs, so I call them at night. The ones who had night jobs, I call them during the day. But my call only made them flee the more. Oh, look, get away. Here come that Noah guy calling us. He wants to give us some down to go. Who's that? Noah's coming. Noah's coming. Okay, everybody go out the back door, out the tent, let's get away. Where's everybody? They just left. So the more I call them, the more they run. And whenever I call to them that thou mayest forgive them they thrust their fingers into their ears and cover themselves with their garments and persist and are big with pride. I'm calling them for this purpose, that Allah forgive you. Like Allah says, He calls you to forgive you. I'm calling you that Allah may forgive you. Then surely I called I called to them out loud. So it wasn't like they couldn't hear me. They said, well, he was calling, but the voice so low, man, we can't hear you. We can hear a word he said. So what, was you there when yeah, but we couldn't hear a word he said. He said, I called them out loud. You see, then spoke to them in public and spoke to them in private. I spoke to you in public. And I called you, I said, well, brother, look, well, can I talk to you later? Can I catch up with you later? Can we hook up? Can we hook up later? Yeah. And so I came to you and we talked later in private. Noah. So I have said, ask forgiveness of your Lord, surely he is ever forgiven. He will send down upon you rain pouring in abundance. Make tolerable, that's what he's asking. And help you with wealth and sons, and make for you gardens, and make for you rivers. What is the matter with you that you hope not for the greatness of your hope not for the greatness from your Lord? And indeed, I have created you by various stages. What the law says. See you not that how Allah has created the seven heavens alike, and made the moon therein, and a light, and made the sun a lamp. Did you see that? And Allah causes you to grow out of the earth as a growth. This is something we'll talk about later on down the line also. I call it organic evolution. Organic evolution. That this is the way man was created. But that's another topic for somewhere else. Because that's right now, I'm just putting it out there. Somebody can pick up on that verse and look at it. And we cause you to grow out of the earth as a growth. Then he returns you to it. Then will he bring you forth a new bringing forth. And Allah has made the earth wide and wide for you, that you may go around, go along therein in spacious paths. Let me make sure that I'm not reading too much. Okay, good. Noah said, Noah said, my Lord, surely they disobey me and follow not and follow him whose wealth and children have increased him and naught but loss. They disobey me and they looking at the people over there who got all these finery things and all that. And not that they can't have them, but they use them for the wrong purpose and all that. And so they're losing. But people prefer that. And they say, forsake not your gods. Don't forsake your gods. Forsake not Wad and Suwa and Yagut and Ya'uk or Nasa, or whatever these terms are. Don't forsake them. Hang on to them. And indeed, they have led many astray and increased out in the wrong doers and naught but perdition. Because of their wrong, they were drowned and made to enter the fire, and they found no helpers besides the law. And Noah said, my Lord, listen what Noah said. Listen what Noah said. He was hardcore, hardcore. He said, my Lord, leave not of the disbelievers any dwellers on the land. Kill them all, drown them all. Don't leave none of the disbelievers on the land. Drown them all. Drown them all. Were you there? No. Were you disbeliever? Yeah. Well, you come, let's go. Well, I wasn't even there. Yeah, but you're a disbeliever. Drown you all. Drown you all. Why? For if thou leave them, they will lead astray thy servants and will not beget any but immoral, ungrateful ones. You see, if you leave them, they're gonna lead away your followers, and when they have children, they're gonna raise them to do the same thing. So drown them all. Drown them all. Get rid of them all. No, my man. My Lord, forgive me and my parents and him who enters my house believing. This is another subject here. Enters my house. What house does Noah have? It's you just told us that there was a flood. There was a flood, flooded everything out and all of that. So now, how many people can enter Noah's house? Those who enter my house. So that has to be something other than a physical house. And so we talk about the ancient house. Well, is this more ancient than the Kaaba? The house that Noah had, was that before the Kaaba? You said Abraham built the Kaaba, rebuilt it or whatever. So what ancient house was that Noah had? You have to consider that too, but that's another subject for another time. My Lord, forgive me and my parents and him who enters my house believing, and the believing men and the believing women, and increase not the wrongdoers in naught, but destruction. The wrongdoers, increase them, yeah, in destruction. Get rid of them. Jam them all. That's Noah, hardcore.
No, cool.
That's right. He was a crip. 7:59. 7:59. 7:59 to 64. 7:59 to 64. And certainly we sent Noah to his people, and so he said, "O my people, serve Allah, you have no God other than him. Indeed, I fear for you the chastisement of a grievous day." The chiefs among the people, the big shots, the big wheels, said, "Surely we see thee in clear error. We see thee in clear error. We see you to be what? The law mubin." He said, "O my people, there's no error in me. I'm a messenger from the Lord of the worlds. I deliver unto you the messages of my Lord." Look at that. You see what the messenger does? Send us a messenger so that we can follow the messages. He said, "I'm only a messenger of the Lord of the worlds. I deliver unto you the messages." That's what a messenger does. The messages of my Lord. And I offer you good advice. And I know from Allah what you know not. Do you wonder that a reminder has come to you from your Lord through a man from whom a man from among you, that he may warn you and that you may guard yourself against evil and that mercy may be shown to you? And they called him a liar. They called him a liar. So we delivered him and those with him in the ark, and we drowned those who rejected what? Our messages, not our messengers, our messages. We drowned the ones who rejected our messages. I mean, surely they were a blind people. They were a blind people. Okay. Chapter 10, verse 71. Chapter 10, verse 71. I'm almost done. 10:71. This is for the single man and woman. This is for the individual. This talk is for you, the individual, to reflect on this. Reflect on this talk. Individual. This is not banging up on somebody else and all of that. It's for you, the individual. This happens in your life every day. Every day you confronted with this. The call of Allah or the call of Shaitan every day. You can't escape it. What verse did I say? 10:71?
Mhm.
Okay. Let's look up to verse 73. And recite to them the story of Noah when he said to his people, "O my people, if my stand here and reminding you by the messages of Allah is hard on you, on Allah do I rely." He's telling you, if I'm staying here and I'm reminding you by what? Not by Qur'an and Sunnah, not by Hadith and Sunnah. I said that I wasn't going to get into that, but this has to come into play right here. I'm reminding you by the messages of Allah. I'm a messenger. I remind you by the messengers of Allah, messages of Allah. If that's hard on you, because hard on the mushrik is that what you invite them. Hard on the mushrik, you see. So I'm inviting you by the messages of Allah. That's hard on you. You see, hard on you. On Allah do I rely. So decide upon your course of action and gather your associates. Then let not your course be of action be dubious to you, and have it executed against me, and give me no respite. Come on, bring it on. You see. But if you turn back, I ask no reward from you. My reward is only with the law, and I'm commanded to be of those who submit. But they what? They rejected him. So we delivered him and those with him in the ark, and we made them rulers and drowned those who rejected our what? Messages, not messengers, messages. See then what was the end of those who were warned, drowned them. 42:10. 42:10. 42:10. And we'll read up to verse 16. And whatever you differ, the judgment, we were talking about that the other day, Shafiq. And whatever you differ, the judgment is with the law. That is the law, my Lord. On him I rely, and on him I turn. You got a difference with somebody, and you just can't seem to solve it. Well, the final judgment is with the law, so leave it alone. Leave it alone and just rock out and do what you got to do. The judgment is with the law. Or you find the judgment in his book, his revelation. He will tell you what it is, how to resolve it. There's not much that gets by this Qur'an. So the judgment is with the law. The originator of the heavens and the earth, he has made for you pairs from among yourselves and pairs from among the cattle too, multiplying you thereby. Nothing is like him, and he is the hearing, the seeing. We use this verse to show that that there's no virgin birth and all that stuff. We did this; it's been over and over again. I just want to put it out there so you can say, "What? What?" Yeah, well, we dealt with this before. There's no virgin birth. Allah says he multiplies you by what? By pairs. He said, the originator of the heavens and the earth, he made for you pairs from among yourselves, your own kind, and pairs of cattle, and multiplying you thereby, by pairs. He can't multiply. Why? Because nothing is like him. He didn't have a pair, and he is the hearing, the seeing. So if you want to say that somebody came into the earth without a pair, well, then you're contradicting this verse. And you're saying something is like a law and it can come without a pair. So you're contradicting this verse. You don't want to do that. No. His are the treasures of the heavens and the earth. He amplifies and straightens substance to whom he pleases. Surely Allah, he is the knower of all things. Surely he is the knower of all things. He has made plain to you the deen, the religion which he enjoined upon Noah. He's made that plain to you, which he revealed to thee, and that which we enjoined upon Abraham and Moses and Jesus. He made that plain to you. Establish the deen, and be not divided therein. Don't be divided therein. What? Hard on the mushrik is that to which you call it them. Like Abraham just said before, Noah said, if my standing here and calling you by the message of Allah is hard on you. Hard on the mushriks is that to which you call them. Allah chooses it to himself, whom he pleases, and guides to himself, him who turns to him. And they were not divided until after knowledge had come to them. We were talking about that this morning also, Shafiq, remember? Until knowledge came to them out of envy among themselves. And had not the word gone forth from thy Lord for an appointed term, the matter would surely have been judged between them. And those who were made to inherit the book after them are surely in disquieting doubt about it. They doubt about it. To this then go on inviting. Never mind all that foolishness they caught on. Go on, they're caught up in. Go on inviting. Go on inviting. And be steadfast, as thou art commanded, and follow not their low desires, and say, I believe in that which Allah has revealed of the book, and I am commanded to do justice between you. Allah is our Lord and your Lord. For us is our deeds, and for you, your deeds. There's no contention between us and you. Allah will gather us together on the day of his, to him is the eventual coming. This is showing me again that I'm going to put together this argument about leave them alone. That's their stuff that they're involved in. Allah says, believe in what Allah has revealed of the book. Believe in that. And I'm commanded to do justice between you, me and, okay, my Sunni brothers. I said it real quick. And to do justice between me and you. Allah is our Lord and your Lord. You have that Sunnah and all that second religion thing. For us is our deeds, who follow the Quran alone. And for you is your deed, who got that man-made religion stuff that you follow. There's no contention between us. You entitled to have your stuff. There's no contention between us. You do you, and I'll do me. You see what I'm saying? You do you, and I'll do me. There's no contention between us. Allah will gather us together and to him is the eventual coming. Last verse. And those who dispute about Allah after obedience have been rendered to him, their plea is null with their Lord, and upon them is wrath, and for them is a severe chastisement. Severe chastisement. Now, 2577. 2577. Look what this verse says. 2577. 2577. This is your everyday working. 2577. Say, my Lord would not care for you were it not for your prayer. They got dua. Now indeed you have rejected, so the punishment uh, will come. Allah will not care for you were it not for your call, for you had not called on him. We dealt with that when we talked about Adam and his asking forgiveness from Allah and so forth and so on. 57:16. 57:16. We're almost done. 57:16. 57:16. 57:16. Has not the time yet come? Has not the time yet come for the believers in that their hearts should be humble for the remembrance of their Lord, for the remembrance of Allah and the truth that is revealed, and that they should not be like those who were given the book before, but time was prolonged for them, and their hearts hardened, and most of them are transgressors. Has not the time come? Let's look at verse 19. And those who believe in Allah and his messengers, they are with the truthful, the faithful, the faithful ones of their Lord. They have their reward and their light. And those who disbelieve and reject our messages, not our messengers, they are the inmates of the hellfire. We talked about that earlier. So now I'm done with Noah. Now, oh, I'm sorry, I have one more. 40:38 to 45. 40:38 to 45. 40:38 to 45. 40:38 to 45. And he who believed said, Oh, my people, follow me. I will guide you to the right way. You have to read this in context to see what it is. Oh, my people, this life of this world is but what? A passing enjoyment. And the hereafter is the abode to settle. Whoever does evil, he will be requited only for the like of it. And whoever does good, whether male or female, and he is a believer, these shall enter the garden to be given therein sustenance without measure. And oh, my people, how is it that I call you to salvation, and you call me to the fire? You call me to disbelieve in the law and to associate with him that of which I have no knowledge, and I call you to the mighty, the forgiving. Without doubt, that which you call me to has no title to be called in this world or in the hereafter. Or and our return is to Allah, and the prodigals are companions of the fire. So you will remember, we said this many times. So you will remember what I say unto you, and I entrust my affairs to Allah. Surely Allah is seer of his servants. Surely Allah is seer of his servants. Verse 45. Allah protected them from the evil that they planned, and evil chastisement overtook Pharaoh's people. So that was somebody calling from Pharaoh's court. Now the question is, I have here, ask yourself, whose call are you on right now? Whose call are you on? Somebody's calling you 24 hours a day, every day. We're on a lost call right here. There's no doubt about that. Right now, this group right here in this place, and the folks who are listening in, tuning in with us, we're on a lost call. This is not Shaitan's call, so we know what we're doing here. We're good. We're good. We're on a lost call. We just got to make sure that we're doing the things that Allah has and commanded us to do in that call that He has called us to, that we're doing it. Now, are you on a lost call, which would be Allah alone, or Shaitan's call, which would be He said, "I called you and you came." Now, the two parties. Let me just end with that. The two parties. Or will I have that? Yeah. Every time I said I'm going to end, I got more. 5822. 5822. Yeah. So now we said there's two calls being made from two parties. Two parties. You see, it's like now the election's coming up, and you have the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. And people are calling you from both parties. And both parties. 5822. So we have something similar going on here. 5822. 5822. Thou will not find a people who believe in Allah and the latter day. If you believe in Allah and the last day, that means accountability. You're going to be accountable for what you do. That's the idea of the last day, accountability. Thou will not find a people who believe in Allah and the latter day, loving those who oppose Allah and His messenger, even though they be their fathers, or their sons, or their brothers, or their kinfolk. This is what Allah said, not me. I'm not making this up. These are they into whose hearts He has impressed faith and strengthened them with the Spirit from Himself, and He will cause them to enter gardens wherein flow rivers, abiding therein. Allah is well pleased with them, and they are well pleased with Allah, with Him. These are Allah's party. These are Allah's party. Now surely it is the lost party that is successful. Keep this verse in mind and go and read it over and over again. Read it over and over again. We don't care if you love other stuff like that more than you love Allah and striving this way and all that. Well, then that's the Shaitan's party. This is the lost party if you deal with this. Oh well, the Shaitan has his party, so let's take a look. And verse 19. 58:19, right above that. 58:19. The devil has gained mastery over them, so he has made them to forget the remembrance of Allah. He's made them forget the remembrance of Allah, the remembrance of Allah, the reminder. You see, they are the devil's party. Now, surely the devil's party are the losers. They've made you forget the remembrance of Allah. You're going through the day and just doing whatever you please. You're forgetting the remembrance of Allah. You put Allah on hold. Call waiting. Call waiting. Put Allah on hold. Excuse me, brother. How long are you going to keep Allah on hold here now? You've been at him on hold for a while. Yeah, but I got a lot of stuff. You know, the Shaitan, he's got a lot of stuff to talk about. He's always talking. Shaitan's always talking. He's got a lot of stuff. I can't just hang up on him like that. You know, let Allah wait. Keep Allah on hold. Keep Allah on hold. I think I'll close now with 41:26. 41:26. 41:26. 41:26 to 33. And those who disbelieve say, those who disbelieve say, who are those who disbelieve? Those who, when Allah alone is mentioned, they disbelieve. Those, when Allah alone is mentioned, they disbelieve. But when others are mentioned with Allah and, so that means every Sunni Muslim on the planet Earth, because he Allah and his messenger, Allah and the prophet. You can't have Allah by himself. Brother, how you going to follow Islam with Allah by himself? By the Qur'an. You have to have and the messenger. So you disbelieve. Allah says when he, who is mentioned, you disbelieve. Abraham said, I'm through with you until you deal with Allah, who by himself. So you're a disbeliever. Yeah, ayyuhal kafirun. You're not mu'minun. You're kafirs, the Sunnis. And those who disbelieve say, listen not to this Quran, but make noise therein. Perhaps you may overcome. So we shall certainly make those who disbelieve take a taste of severe chastisement, and we shall certainly requite them for the worst of what they did. That is the reward from Allah. That is the reward of Allah's enemies. That is the reward of Allah's enemies. Allah's enemies. Can you imagine Allah's enemies? Wow, that's some heavy stuff there. That is the reward of Allah's enemies. They say, don't listen to this Quran alone. Don't be Qur'anist. Don't follow this Quran. Don't do that. They're enemies of Allah. That's just straight up no chaser. That is the reward of Allah's enemies, the fire, the fire. For them therein is a home to abide, a requital for denying what? Denying our messages. Denying our messages, not denying our messengers, not denying our hadith and sunnah, but denying the messages, you see? And those who disbelieve will say, our Lord, show us those who led us astray from among the jinn and the men, that we may trample them under our feet, so that they may be of the lowest. Those who say our Lord is Allah, then continue in the right way, the angels descend upon them, saying, fear not, nor grieve, and receive the good news of the garden which you are promised. with your friends in this life and in the hereafter. And you have therein what your soul desire, and you have therein what you ask for. And who is better in speech than one who calls to Allah, calls to Allah, calls to Allah, does good, and says, I am of those who submit. So that will end this talk for today. Then I'll open the Zoom up for questions. Anybody have questions regarding anything I spoke about today? Either in the first little segment about the Sunni thing, obey Allah and obey the Prophet, or in this segment here, a call waiting or putting Allah on hold. This is what you're doing, you're putting the law on hold. Any questions, I'll take them.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. Not
Alaikum.
sure if you can hear me. Thank you. Nice to finally talk to you. I thank you for everything that you're doing and really getting the message out there because it helped me a lot. When I first seen your video, I was like, hey, because I used to be Sunni, that stuff or whatever. And when I first seen your video, I would go behind it like, I don't think this brother know what he's saying. I'll go read out, look at the ayahs. I'm like, oh man. And I was shocked because a lot of things I thought was in the Quran wasn't, right? And so I've been studying for like the past 6 years. I had met brother Shafiq. He was brave and came to my house, and brother Shafiq Muhammad, and he came to my house and we studied the Quran and we went over some ayats. So I just been learning and learning and learning and studying. And like when I run across like recently, I mean to change the subject or whatever, because I don't have a question. The question about what you presented for me is no question. But it was like I had the other day, like when I run across different Muslims, I'm a store owner. So when I run across other guys who, claim Islam, say that they're Muslims, I ran across this one brother and he tried to hit me with, well, you need the hadith. And I showed him where the Quran says fully complete, fully detailed, nothing left out the book. Allah does not error. So I was showing him some of these ayahs and he was like, well, you need the hadith because, the hadith says what the Quran says. So I said to him, you don't need the hadith. If the Quran says something, then why do I need the hadith? And then I showed him like a stark, like this, like the hadith doesn't say what the Quran says. And so I asked him about his hadith that he says, when the angel Jibril came to Muhammad, peace and blessings are already upon the messenger. When he came to Muhammad in the cave and he choked him. And I said, the Quran doesn't say that, right? He did tell him to read in the name of his Lord, but he didn't choke him. So I showed him Surah 53, which goes towards what you said in one of the ayahs you had presented in 4:117 about them worshiping the daughters. But in Surah 53, which is Surah An-Najm, it says that about a star when it descends, that the angel came down and approached. He seen him at the highest part of the horizon, which is 12 o'clock. So I said, if he's at the highest part of the horizon, how could he have been in the cave? How could he see him at 12 o'clock? And then it says he descended and approached and stood 2 bow lengths or nearer. So I said like a bow and arrow, 2 bow lengths, like a bow length. So he didn't grab him or touch him. So that's different than what your hadith is saying, how he grabbed them and choked them. And then I explained that to him. And then, I went down a little bit where it says Allah a'uz manat. And I didn't know who those people was. Allah asked the question, do you know who they are? And I didn't know who they were. So I went and looked them up. And I found out that Manat was worshipped as the black stone near Kudaid, near Mecca, and in their past years and things like that. So I'm like, they're still worshiping the black stone now. And that section goes to what you were saying about in 4:117 when they say something about the daughters, like they worship these daughters like they've been doing before. And I'm like, that's the same thing they've been doing now. So I just wanted to say that, and you could correct me wherever I'm wrong at and what I'm trying to get across. I wasn't trying to jump all around, and I just was trying to present a few, like something that happened to me recently. But I've been acknowledging the Quran to anybody and not anybody, mainly my family. But when I move to speak on the Quran to people, I do it. When people come and interact with me because they came in saying Ramadan Mubarak to me, and I'm like, I let them know immediately that I don't follow that. And I understand what Siam is, you know what I mean? And Siam for me means to refrain or restrain yourself, because Mary was told to eat and drink and refrain from speaking. So it can't just be fasting. If she had the siyam from she was told to eat and drink, but still yet to siyam. So for me, it doesn't mean to not eat and drink, like it can be, but it just means refrain. So I broke that down to him. So I'm sorry for being a little bit all over the place, but this is my first time being on live and stuff like that, or talking like this. And even though I did do a video like about 6 or 7 years ago in the midst of me studying, but I just want to say thank you for everything that you're doing, and I appreciate you and for pointing out the ayahs.
Okay, well, Brother Nafees, I thank you for that input. No, I'm not going to go and try to address some of those things. I see that you're studying. I know you from some time now. I know of you. I don't know if we ever met, but I know of you I think you were here in New York at one time and you went south.
Yeah, in Philly, yes, sir.
Somewhere in this area. And I'm the one who introduced you to Brother Muhammad Shafiq.
Yes,
And
sir.
it's of getting in touch with him down in your hometown where you're at.
Yeah, yes,
And
sir.
he's sitting here right now with me. But
And
I appreciate your growth. I appreciate your diligency in terms of looking into the Quran, trying to find out what's right. I just suggest to you just to kind of be patient, take your time, study more, look deeper, listen, take notes, and to give yourself a little time to grow. As long as you're sincere, Allah will guide you. He will guide your thinking. He will guide your understanding. He will help you. You'll be surprised. Just slow down, give yourself some time, and hopefully, you can communicate with Brother Shafiq and other brothers on other websites and YouTube channels and all that are dealing with the Quran, bringing forth the understanding from the Quran. Give yourself some time. You'll be in good shape. I appreciate it. Glad that you came on. Glad to hear from you.
thank you for the invite. Thank you for the invite.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Anybody else?
Peace, Hamza. This is Nafis. That was my father just talking. We
Oh,
studied
that wasn't
together
my piece I
too.
was talking to.
Well, his name is Nafis. He named me Nafis as well.
Oh, okay.
That's Junior.
So what I was gonna say was, you had cited some verses in the Quran that was talking about the covenant, Allah's covenant, and my question was that's pertaining to as far as following only the Quran, as far as giving charity, um, as far as that is what I'm saying, like, following only the Quran, giving charity, sticking to the Quran only, not associating partners and stuff like that.
The covenant of Allah.
Yes, because where Allah say, fulfill my covenant,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, covenant is basically a contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a contract. And the overall picture of the contract is that you obey Allah and do the right thing, and He will reward you His paradise in the next life. You see, that's the contract between you and Him. He says, I only created the men and jinn that they should serve from me. That's the contract. And if you disobey Allah, the Quran comes with warning, with mercy and warning, you see, mercy and warning. So if you don't accept the Quran, then you get warned. That's part of the contract. But the basic rules and tenets of the contract are going to be found in chapter 6, verse 152 to 154. If you look there, you'll find everything that you need to do to win Allah's favor and to live the life that will get you into paradise. Everything you need to know and do will be there. In chapter 6, verse 152 to 154, that's in brief. And if you go over to chapter 17, starting around verse 22 to 39, that's going to be the same information, but in detail. If you look at that, well, I call it the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments. This is our 10 Commandments. If you do that, you're good. There's nothing left out. That's the covenant. There's no the kind of thing, the mystical nothing that you have to wonder what this is. The law says those who believe and do good deeds. That's the covenant. That's the contract. It's very simple. Whoever believes in the law and does good deeds, he has his reward. It's very simple. It can't get simpler than that. What? Believe in the law and do good deeds. What's more simpler than that? Don't follow anything that you have no knowledge of. That
Thank you.
undercuts that as simplicity. That's more simple.
That was very clear. Yep.
So I hope you continue on your journey. You can deal with us anytime you like. You can hit me up if you have any way that you can contact me. If I can help you with anything to help you grow in this understanding of this Quran alone idea, I'll be more than happy. I'm at your disposal. I'm a da'i 24/7 a day, and that's what it is. So keep watching, keep listening, keep studying, and pay attention. Thank you for the call,
Thank you.
for the question, rather. Anybody else? Anybody else have a comment or question regarding something that was said today?
Well, if nobody don't, can I speak on? Can I ask another question? Is
Certainly
it fine if
can.
I ask another?
Yeah,
Okay. You mentioned us. You brought up a surah and ayat about I believe it was Noah, or
yeah,
it has something to do with you will not find people who truly believe in Allah in the last day, giving their loyalty to those who oppose Allah and His Messenger,
yeah,
even though they may be their fathers, sons, brothers, or other relatives. These are the people in whose hearts Allah has inscribed faith, and whom He has strengthened with His Spirit. He
yeah,
will let them enter gardens graced with flowing streams, where they will stay. Allah is well pleased with them, and they with Him. They are on Allah's party, and Allah's party will be the ones to prosper.
yeah.
So, like in my experience in life, like what I'm experiencing right now is from the information that I'm getting and studying. When I go to like close friends or I go to family, and they don't accept, they don't acknowledge, they don't take in what the Quran is saying and study and look for themselves. Do I cut them off? Is that what it's saying? Like,
That's not
because
what
at the beginning,
that's not what I see. What I see is that they oppose you. You see, they're in opposition. They're in opposition. They're saying, like we just read the verse, don't listen to this Quran, but make noise. You see?
right,
Or if they say, we follow what we found our fathers, even though what, I bring you a better guide than what your fathers had, yeah, we don't care. Those people, those are the ones. Don't deal with them. Or they're making mockery. They're making sheer mockery of your deen. They don't care nothing about whether it's true or false or nothing. It's just mockery for them, and that's what they peddle in. But no, just because a person doesn't listen to you, that doesn't mean that they won't listen to you at some other time. They're not hostile to you. They're just that, brother, look, I ain't really ready for that right now, or I don't see that, or that's your thing and whatever. But if you see them and you're close to them and you're friendly with them, every chance you get a chance, every chance you get, you find some way to bring the conversation into something that will make them think. There's many ways to make them think. And the law talks about the one who was your enemy eventually becoming your best friend. That's how deep it can go. Person was your
mm,
enemy, becomes your friend. So no, unless they don't want to hear it, you just stay with them, but gradually, don't beat them to death and all of that. Don't run them away. But no, no. You can always talk to them. To this didn't go on and admonishing, calling. Remember we said that earlier. Well, there's no
right,
contention between us. You have your thing, I have mine. But I'm inviting you to the truth every time I get a chance. And if you want to talk, we talk. If not, Lakun dinakun waliyadin. You have yours and I have mine. So that's the situation as I understand it. Anybody else? Anybody else? Any other question?
Yes, I have a question. Well, it's not really a question, but it's something I would like you to maybe you can look at if you find the time. But it's Surah 4, ayat 103,
Yeah. Who's
where
this?
they use this is Nafis, give thought up top, Nafis.
Oh, okay.
My suggestion is speaking to my son, but now it's me.
Yeah, okay, good.
Um
You
and and
both have strong voices.
yeah, thank you.
Vocal cords.
Thank you. And for 103, right, they translate kitab as prescribed there, right? But I understand like kutaba is prescribed. I'm not sure if it's a prescribed book or what, but it says salah for the believers is the book or prescribed book, I believe, at fixed times. Because the word is kitabin. And I thought kitabin was book, to my understanding.
Yeah. Well, that's a subject again. I'm not going to deal with that now because I'm committed to only deal with issues that I spoke on. But I spoke on
Okay.
this issue in my talk about Salah. I have a video on YouTube about Salah, and I discussed that. And it's been discussed by many other people. And the word kataba, it could be translated as record. You see, a record of something. Like it talks about earlier in Surah Al-Baqarah, when you, those people who own slaves, when you have a slave, you give him a kataba. You see, you give him not a book, you give him a record, a paper that shows that he's free. He's a free paper. It's a document, you see. So that can go different places, but again, I'm not going to veer off into that discussion today. I intend to come back to this idea of Salah. I have plenty of stuff I'm building to come back at this idea of ritual Salah praying. And, it's my notion that there's nothing called praying in the Deen of Islam. There's nothing called praying at all. No praying at all. Nobody prays. But
Right.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
deal with that now, but thank you for the question again.
All right.
Anybody? Did you all catch the concept that I was talking about when I spoke about uh, obey Allah and obey the Prophet? Did you get that? You understood that little small argument that I gave at the outset of the talk today? Were you on board at the time? When I spoke about chapter 57, verse 19, and then I ended up with chapter 4, verse 69, to show that the prophet himself had to obey Allah and the messenger. When it says obey Allah and the messenger, people are saying obey Allah and the prophet. No, the prophet had to obey Allah and the messenger. That's why the prophets are with whoever obeys Allah and the messenger are with the who prophets and the truthful and the faithful and one thing after the other. So there's a difference between prophet and messenger. That's clearly right there. Anybody who don't see that in the Quran is just some kind of a whatever. The word I'd like to use is too strong, so ain't no need of me watering it down. So I'll say whatever.
Yes, no, it's very clear. Me and my father experienced this a few times, speaking to other, people who claim that they're Muslims, where
Yeah,
they'll use that to try to push their hadith agenda by
yeah,
saying obey Allah and obey the Prophet.
Yeah,
when it's pertaining to the messenger, because the messenger has the message.
yeah.
So yes, very clear.
Mhm. Okay, anybody else? Any question, any comment? If not, uh we're gonna ease on up out of here and see what the end of the day brings for us. Take a tally of our day and see what good we done, as opposed to what evil, what wrong. And right now, it seems that we're on a roll. I woke up this morning and I waited for my brothers to come and pick me up, and we drove here to my good friend's house, and we're having this lecture. And hopefully, I won't do too much foolishness between now and bedtime. I hope I don't get too much foolishness in. Is that all? Is everybody clear now? We're good? Okay, then we're gonna end. I thank everybody for coming on board. I think I see, is that Carolyn, Nafis, Talib, somebody's Samsung, and look like Give Thought. I see you people on board. I thank you for coming on board. Allah reward you immensely. And continue to listen, to be careful, watch yourself on a day-to-day basis. Tomorrow is not promised to anybody, as we call it tomorrow, just one long day. And be careful, and we hope that Allah reward us all for our efforts. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wa salamun ala al-mursalin, walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.